Hola Mario.
Hola.
¿Me resfrío?
Hace días no se me va.
Ajá.
Qué relajo ahí en Maine, ¿viste?
Eli me dijo, sí. No lo leí todavía.
22 muertos. 22.
28.
22.
Bueno, ¿y lo agarraron al tipo?
No, todavía no. En 3 lugares parece que fue.
Hey guys,
Hello.
where'd Johnny go? He was just there, no?
He went to lock the house because of the shooter in Maine.
I don't think he has a jet.
That's terrible, eh?
Crazy. People are crazy.
But they haven't caught him yet. They think
No,
they
I
found.
know.
They scanned him on cameras apparently, but and he went into 3 places.
Yeah, Walmart, some bowling alley.
Another third place.
Yeah,
As long as it's not a show.
exactly. I don't think there's any Jews in Maine.
Not in Lewistown.
Louis,
Lewiston.
there was a famous fight there. Sonny Liston and Muhammad Ali. They had
Oh,
it.
yeah?
Yeah. For some reason, they had it there, and they say Liston took a dive. He,
Oh.
yeah. There's a picture of him laying on the ground, and it looks like no one hit him. He just collapsed. He took the money, and that was it. Hey, Kenny, how's Akiva doing?
There it's throat. Tough boy.
Everything safe?
Safer than Maine in the United States.
Yeah, we're just talking about that. Maine.
This world's gone nuts.
So many
Oh, yeah.
crazies. It's terrible.
I've been listening to Golda Meir being interviewed. They have it on tape.
No, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah,
It
and
is so good. It is A to Z.
where do you hear it? Where do you hear this?
I also heard a part.
Is it on YouTube?
Her
On
on
YouTube?
YouTube. It is so good. It's real 1 of 2. Real 2 of 2 is even better. It's about 40 minutes in total. But she's really sharp and witty. And
Yeah.
But the last segment, the last few minutes, he says, how does your experience being born in Kiev affect your role here in Israel? She just says, I remember as a child, my parents, there was a pogrom going on and my parents cowering and trying to be safe. And she said, all Jews, he was asking about memory and how that affects you. She says, all Jews have memory of pogroms and persecution. And
Just
she said, the
happened
difference
today
here
in,
is that we have a war, but it's not
Yeah.
a pogrom. And it was just
Yeah.
thinking like, oh, gosh, if she would only see what's going on now.
in Manhattan, Cooper Union College, these
And then
Palestinians. You saw that?
Ernie, your internet is not working well.
You will love this line.
Give me here.
Mine? Hold on. Oh, you're right. It's off. Let me turn it on.
Okay.
Better?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. What's the line?
He has
Yeah.
this line where, he says, you're known for your simplicity in dress and taste, and, you don't go on vacations. You clearly don't have a wardrobe, is basically what he was saying. And she chuckles and she says, I'm a realist. And if I thought going to the beauty parlor would help, I'd do it. Great line. And she chuckles to herself. It was just like,
Yeah, that's very smart.
So smart, you know?
Self-deprecating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
Anyway,
Netanyahu's
I'll send
self-deprecating.
it over. It made my day. It's so refreshing and
How's Queen Rania doing?
ugh, should be shot.
Yeah. She doesn't want any Palestinians. Nobody wants the Palestinians because they're trouble.
Because then they have no way of attacking Israel, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, she talks
her
about
father
that.
like killing them.
She talks about that. She just says, Israel absorbed all of these Jews that were thrown out of Arab lands,
Right.
It's their responsibility, basically.
Where are we holding up, Ernie?
New Perek.
Oh,
6985.
Yeah.
Samech Tes Tamad Aleph. 16.
Okay, perfect.
Asara Yochsin Olam Mibavel.
The Mishnah, right?
The Mishnah. When Ezra Sofer went up to Eretz Yisrael from Bavel, there were 10 categories of yichus that went with him. That means he left the miyuchasim in Bavel, and all the psulim he separated from the regular population, and he took the psulim up with him to Eretz Yisrael.
So he left the Yochsim in Bavel?
Correct. It was like Borer. He took all of the psulim. Not everybody was puzzled, but he didn't leave any psulim in Bavel. He took all the psulim and took them with him up. So who did he take up? Kohani, Levi, Yisraeli. Chalali, right? A chalal is a product of a coin and a grusha. Geri, right? Gerim. Then Chruri, that's an Eved Knani that was freed. So he's lower than a Ger. Mamzeri, we know what that is. It's a product of an Erva. Nisini, they were the Givonim that it came to Yoshua and claimed that they were a foreign nation. They were really one of the nations they were actually one of the Sheva Kanani nations that dressed up like the Givonim, and Yoshua made a shvua to them that they would keep them alive. So they were kept alive, but they were the water carriers and the wood choppers for the base of Mikdash, the Nesinim. Eventually, a Gzeira, David HaMelech made a Gzeira that we couldn't marry them, even though they were Megayith. So they're less than Mamzerim. Then Shasuki, the Gemara, that's someone who we quiet him. We'll see why. A Sufi is a foundling. Somebody who's left on a doorstep. A Shasuki, we know who the mother is, we don't know who the father is. And then we know that the mother is Jewish. And the mother says that the father is someone kosher. Well, it's a suffix mamzer, but we believe an aid Naaman regarding the kashrus. And let's say she's not a married woman, she's a pnuya. We don't really know who the father is. That's a shasuki. And in Asufi, we don't know who the mother is or the father is. So that's certainly a suffix mamzer. Now, who can marry who? Kohanim Levi of Yisraelim, Mutar Lavos Abazeh. Right? Kohanim can marry Leviim, Kohanim can marry Yisraelim. So they can marry among each other. Then Levi, Yisrael, Chalali, Geri, V'chruri, Mutar Lavos Abazeh. A Levi or Yisrael, there's no Avera to marry a Chalal. There's no Avera to marry a Ger. There's no Avera, an Eved who is freed as a ger, so there's no avera to marry a convert. A Kohen cannot marry a convert. A Kohen cannot marry a halal, but not a Levi or Yisrael. Then, Geri, Chruri, Mamzeri, Nesini, Shasuki, Asufi, Kula Mutar Lovazabazeh. These people can marry, a ger can marry a mamzer, a ger can marry a Nesin, a ger can marry a Shasuki, an Asufi. They all can marry each other. Eluim Shasuki, Koshu Makirs Imo, Veno Makirs Aviv. He knows his mother, he doesn't know his father. A Sufi is Kol Shenesaf and Ashuk, a foundling picked up from the market. Eno Makir Lo Asaviv Lo Simo. Aber Shol Ayakor L'Shasuki Beduki. He had a different name for them, Beduki. Okay. The reason we call him a Shasuki, because when the child calls somebody a father, calls out father, the mother silences him because it's really not the father. Asar Yuchsi Olumi Bavel. My area de Toni Olumi Bavel. Why do we have to say this phraseology that they went up from Bavel? Nisni, Holchul Eretz Yisrael. Just say they went there to Israel. Milsa Gavurcha Kamashma, to teach me something. That Eretz Yisrael is higher than other countries. Kidetani v'kamta v'alisa l'makom asher yivcha Hashem Elokecha. Melamed shebeis hamidrash gavoa mikol Eretz Yisrael. The Beis Hamidrash is the highest spot in Eretz Yisrael. The Eretz Yisrael gavoa mikol harotzos, and Eretz Yisrael is higher than all the other lands. So we say we make aliyah. Bishma Beis Hamidrash gavoa mikol Eretz Yisrael hainu l'tziv divrei rivos bisharecha v'kamta v'alisa ela makom asher yivcha Hashem Elokecha bo. So from that pasuk, the Beis Hamidrash is high. But Ela Eretz Yisrael Gavur Mikol Haaretzos Minolan. Where's the source for that? T'chsiv Lachein this is a pasuk in Yirmiyah. Lachein Hinei Yamim Ba'im Num Hashem. Days will come. V'lo yomru od Chai Hashem Asher Elas Bnei Yisrael Mitzrayim. Praises to God who took Bnei Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, brought them up. Praises to Hashem who brought them up, the remaining zera of the Jews from a northern land, and we call our and from all other nations where the Jewish people have been exiled. So we see from there that going to Eretz Yisrael refers to as Aliyah. My Irditanu Olumi Bovel. Why did it specifically say that they went up from Bavel? Nisni Olu Lit Eretz Yisrael. Say they made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael.
I mean, it doesn't really prove that Eretz Yisrael is higher. It just means that when you go up to Eretz Yisrael, it's called Aliyah. It's called going up. But it doesn't compare. It may just be relative to Mitzrayim, relative to Tzafon.
Well, Kol ha'rotzos asher hidachtim sham, the Gemara is learning, means Eretz Yisrael is higher than all other lands.
But is that how anyone would read the pasuk? I mean, I thought you mean Aliyah is you're making a spiritual journey upward. I don't know.
Maybe higher in spirituality.
Yeah.
Well,
But
it's not higher than Tibet. I
Right.
know that. But that's how the pasuk refers to it. That when Klal Yisrael come from the scattered lands, it's a process of he'elah. That's all we can say. So that's why the Mishnah uses the language of olu. So why olu mi Bavel? Nisni olu le Eretz Yisrael. B'saila Rabbi Eliezer. It supports Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer. La'ala Ezra me'bavel ad shasa kesolis nekiya v'ala. He wanted to tell us that he emptied out Bavel from all the bad yichus and went up with them to Eretz Yisrael. It Marbaya Omer. Olu Meileyan. It's not. Means they went up on their own will. Rava Omar Helum Tana. Ezra forced them. Kamiflaki bid Rabbi Elazar. And they're arguing in this Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Elazar, La'ala Ezra mi Bavel, Ad Shasakas Nekiv Allah. Abaya less than Rabbi Elazar. Abaya doesn't hold of that. That it's not like that they were removed because they were bad yichus. They went up by themselves. Rava is like Rabbi Elazar. Rava holds of Rabbi Elazar that this was actually a process that Yoshua wanted to empty Bavel from all the bad yichus. Iboy Sema, if you want, we'll explain the Machlokas Abai and Rava in a different way. The Kula Amli Islu Rabbi Elazar. Really, everybody agrees Rabbi Elazar concept that Yoshua got rid of the bad yichus from Bavel. Hachabaka Miflagi. Marsave Afrushi Afrishinu, that there was a two-step process. Ezra separated all the different yichusim in Bavel. Then the Psulim decided, they decided to make Aliyah. Umar Sarabal Korcha Asukinu. That Ezra separated them, and then he forced them to make Aliyah. So Mishma Lamandamar Alu. So according to Manda Omar, that the Mishnah says Alu on their own. Hainu to Amar Avinamar Shmuel, Kol Arotzo is Yisrael Eretz Yisrael. Other lands are a mixture when you compare them to Eretz Yisrael. The Eretz Yisrael Yisrael Gabi Bavel. Eretz Yisrael is like a dough, which is also a mixture between yeast and water and salt. So all other lands are possible when you compare them to Eretz Yisrael, because at least in Eretz Yisrael they did check their yichus. Because there were Kohanim there, we'll see the Lishka Sagazis, the Beis Hamikdash, their main job was to determine what everyone's yichus is. But Bavel had a much better yichus in Eretz Yisrael because Ezra removed the psulim from Bavel. So that was the hierarchy. Elamando Amar Helum, but according to Mando Amar, that held that Ezra forcibly made them make Aliyah. Medi Yadinu. So people knew who the bad psulim were. They didn't mix with them. So why should Eretz Yisrael be bad compared to Bavel? Actually, Eretz Yisrael should be good because the good yichus stayed within the good yichus. So the Gemara answers, Nihiti Yadi Lahudara. Maybe that generation knew, but the Dorchina Lo Yadi. Later generations forgot, and then they intermarried. Bishwan Bar Alu. I understand why it says in the Mishnah that they went up on their own free will, Hainu Dichsiv, because it says, Ezra, it says, Va'kapseim el anar, I will gather them el anar haba al achva, we're going to gather by the river, V'nachna sham yamim shal, we'll rest there for 3 days. V'avina ba'amu v'akonim b'nei Levi lo matzati sham. And he made like a survey, who's who and who's not. Like he took roll. He wasn't sure who came with him. He thought there were Leviim kosher, but he didn't find anyone that was Roy Lavoda. He found that some people had cut off their big toes or their thumbs, And they said, how are we going to sing as Levim? We're Balmum. Because Nebuchadnezzar wanted them to sing Al Naros Bavel. So they cut off their thumbs with their teeth. And they told Nebuchadnezzar, we're not going to sing. And we don't have thumbs to pluck the harp. So he didn't find any kosher Levim. They stayed in Bavel. And the ones who went up to Shalayim were poor, they were working hard. And the Levim that are described in the Mishnah are part of those that are not roy. But these psulim had decided to make aliyah on their own. Elamandam Helum, the ones that said Ezra actually brought them up, Hamizra Zahiri. Well, they were careful with the yuchos. Why would they need this pasuk that describes the problem with the yuchos? The Izer, the psulim, but Pikshem lo Izer. Yeah, they were careful to identify who the psulim were, but they weren't careful to point out who the ksherim were. Kohanim Levi Yisrael, Minolan Desliku. Where's the proof that Kohanim Levi Yisrael made aliyah? Dichsiv, Vayishvu HaKohanim V'Alvim Min Ha'am V'Mishorim. So the Kohanim and Levim, V'Ashorim V'Nesim V'Areim V'Chol Yisrael V'Areim. So you see the Kohanim and Levim went up. Kohanim, Levim, and Yisrael are mentioned. Chaloli, Geri, v'Charuri. How do you know these went up? Chaloli Minolan. The Tan Rabbi Yossi Amar Gedoyle Chazaka. Shenemar u'mibnei HaKohanim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, something went wrong with my computer. Rabbi Yossi Amar Gedoyle Shenemar u'mibnei HaKohanim. Among the Kohanim were Bnei Chavia, Bnei HaKotz, Bnei Barzilai, Asher Lakach Midnos Barzilai Giladi, Ishav Vayikral Shmam, Ela Bikshuk Savam HaMisyachsim. They looked for their Sefer Yichus, V'lo Nimtzu Vayigolu Min HaKehuna. They were thrown out of the Kahuna. Vayomer HaTirshasa Lahem Asher Lo Yichlu Mikodesh HaKodoshim. We will prevent them from eating from Kodesh Kodashim. Ad Amod Kohen L'Urim V'Tumim, until we have a Kohen with Urim V'Tumim who will tell us who's who. So there must have been Ksherim, there must have been Kohanim that it was a suffix if they're kosher or whether they're Chalolim. So Ezra told them, even though you didn't bring me proof, you didn't bring me a Sefer Yuchas that you're Kohanim Ksherim, we're going to keep you with whatever chazaka that you ate in Bavel. What did you eat in Bavel? Begoyla. Bekotche Agvul. The truma that was eaten in Bavel, which was truma Rabbon. Avkadami, Kotche Agvul, the truma. But you're not going to be able to eat from Kochim in the walls of Yerushalayim, from the Korbanos. That's what it meant when he said, Asher lo yochlu mikodesh hagotosh. Ulaman damer mali mitruma lo yuchsin. Now, there were opinions that said that if you saw a Kohen eating truma, you could elevate his yichus and say he's a complete Kohen. And he could even eat korbanos. So why did Ezra permit them to eat truma? So, people who are viewed as eating truma will be elevated to complete Kohen status. So, shiny awesome the reich is kisasayu. Yeah, but they already had a knock on their chazaka because they didn't eat kochim like the other Kohanim. So people knew that they were not really Kohanim. Elamai Gedol Chazaka. Then what do you mean by Gedol Chazaka? It didn't add anything to them. So the Gemara says it did. The Mikara Achol Betruma Midrabana. In Bavel, they only eat Truma Midrabana. Ulvasof Echol Betruma Deraisa. But in Eretz Yisrael, they were elevated to be allowed to eat Truma Deraisa. Viboy Seima Loilam Hashtanami Birabanan Echol Deraisa Lochel. Others answer that no, even now in Eretz Yisrael, they were not allowed to eat Truma Deraisa, because otherwise they would be elevated to regular yichus. So they only ate Truma D'Rabbanan. When do you elevate a Kohen regarding his yichus? When you see him eat Truma D'Oraisa. But Midrabbanan lo maskinan. If you see a Kohen eating only Truma D'Rabbanan, we don't elevate his yichus completely. So they can eat that Truma from the chazaka of what they were eating in Bavel. Hihachi ma'igdal chazaka. Dimi kara lekala mixer. There was no place to be goizer that you shouldn't even eat Truma D'Rabbanan, mishum Truma D'Oraisa, because maybe they would come to eat Truma D'Oraisa. L'basov, afal gav de ikla mixer, even though we could have made a gzeira and not allow them to eat Truma D'Rabbanan because they might come to eat Truma D'Oraisa, right? Mishum Truma D'Oraisa b'Rabbanan echol. So that was the chazaka, to allow them to eat Truma D'Rabbanan. But D'Oraisa lo yachol. But they remained uneaters of Truma D'Oraisa. Frei Timor Ba'aksiv. Vayomer har tarshta lahem asher lo yochel mikodesh HaKadoshim. The Kodesh HaKadoshim lo shelo yochel. Only korbanos they can eat. Hakol midin echel, including Truma D'Oraisa. Hachi kamar. Lo midi de mikri kodesh, v'lo midi de mikri kodshim. They were not allowed to eat something called kodesh, and not allowed to eat something kodshim. Lo midi de mikri kodesh, because Truma D'Oraisa has been called kodesh. That refers to Truma. Lo midi de mikri kodshim shomakro bas koyin kisieli izar he b'trumas hakodashim lo yisachel. A bas koyin, when she lived in her father's house and he brought home a shlomim, she could eat it. But now that she's married to a Pashat Yisrael, she can't eat it. The chaz of a shok given to a coin from a shlomim, that they weren't allowed to eat. Okay, Ayin Omar Aleph.
Alon